Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Shatterstar, issue number 5 of 5. Oh no, this is the end! And it was predictable, yet that was a good thing. Now, I'm going to get into that in just a minute. Let's talk about this. We got Tim Seeley on writing, Carlos Villa on pencils, Juan Velasco with Carlos Villa on inks, flashback art, Gerardo Sandoval, color artist Carlos Lopez, VC's Corey Petit on letters, and cover artist Yasmin Putri. Carlos Lau did the graphic design. All right. So, basically, Shatterstar wins. I don't know where else you want to go with this. All right. um, Pretty much, you knew that Shatterstar was going to win. That's a given. He's gotta, right? There were some cool fight scenes, like some pretty cool fight scenes in here, especially the part where he eviscerates freaking the Grandmaster. Like he hits him with that double bladed sword. You see two parts of his head just go bloop. But then he just completely reconstitutes himself because immortal primordial god. Yeah, one of those kind of things. He's not a primordial god, but he's got the power primordial as opposed to the power cosmic. Let's see. So I did not expect not how he was going to win. Yeah, I didn't expect necessarily how he was going to win. That I didn't know. That I'm not going to, sit here and try and guess on because, it's going to be some cool way, I would imagine, I hope, and it was, some cool way for him to win. It really was meaningful, the way that he won. I mean, that was impressive as all hell. Yeah, and it's not like I'm so powerful thing. No. It was the idea that he thought about it, and he won. That is awesome. But we knew he was going to win, given. We knew in general what he was fighting for. Which, I'm fighting for my tenants. It just sounds so stupid on the outside. It sounds like, a couple of different movies that we've seen before. And I'm trying to remember some of them. There's, I think it was not the mechanic, but the one where that guy is a driver. He's Jason Statham. He was the driver, the chauffeur or whatever. He's like, no, I'm just a chauffeur. In reality, he's like, this badass freaking guy does all these crazy things. You always see movies like that. Some former CIA or whatever military badass who he retires and now he's a flower salesman or something like that. And it's like, here we go, freaking Under Siege. It's like Under Siege. No, I'm just the cook. Now you're Steven Seagal. That's like one of the most badass movies of all time. Horrible person, but one of the most badass movies of all time. And just beating people up, talking about, I'm just the cook. I think I want to go watch that movie again right now. Damn. But that's what this kind of reminded me of. Something along those lines. I'm just a landlord. No, I'm fighting for my tenants. It just, on the outskirts, if you explain that to someone who hasn't read this comic book, it's the stupidest thing imaginable. But if you read the comic book, it means just a little bit more than that. The trick of it all is, for the most part, you knew how this whole thing was going to end. And yet somehow it was still meaningful. That's a trick I need to learn how to do. Excuse me. That's some kind of a writing technique, a creative process, something that, man, if I can learn how to do that, I could be the next Tim Seeley. That's real talk, man. So much of this comic book was predictable, and yet you get to the end and you do have, literally, that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. You get the feeling afterwards that, yeah, Shatterstar is kind of a badass. Yeah, I should have bought that 6-inch Marvel Legends figure of Shatterstar when it was on the cheap. Good feelings. Excellent use of a character that is oftentimes just not used. Awesome use of the Grandmaster, who's a character that we haven't seen since the Avengers No Surrender run. Good use of characters that most of us have never read before, seen before, heard of before, I don't know that those particular characters were all necessarily relevant, but I think a lot of us are going to remember Tina Cook for a while. This was a very impressive 5-issue limited series. If you're going to make those little 5-issue limited series or whatever, those little, mini-series that Marvel and DC puts out, rather than just be throwaway things, like, they made a Nightcrawler series years ago. It was a 4-issue limited series. What happened in it? You know what I'm saying? Was there something major that happened that you'll always remember? Or something that was crucial to his storyline? Or that really gave some great character development? All the little, the magic, Ileana Rasputin, all those little stories that have come out in the past that are legendary now, because like, first time in a solo series. Yeah, cool. How many of them actually do something that you can genuinely remember and you will always remember who the character is? A resounding statement of like this limited series was so good. I'm only imagining there's going to be a bunch of other writers out there who are going to be like, you know who I need on this new superhero team that I'm putting together? Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of characters in here to pick from. This was really good. I definitely enjoyed this. This is one of those endings for the Grandmaster that I think to myself, the next time the Grandmaster is used, if it's not mentioned how he escaped from, the death trap that he's technically in right now, I will be very disappointed in that writer. Yeah, that's right. That's how good this was. These kinds of comic books come around rarely. What's worse is I don't think there's a whole lot. I just look at the views, for this video and how many other people are really reviewing this comic book. And I'm saddened that this is going to be one of those stories that not a lot of people get the opportunity to see because they just bypassed it. Because unfortunately there is a lot of stuff coming out from Marvel, DC, the big two that's just, it's forgettable. So you see something like this, a minor character, what are they going to do with something like this? This is the kind of story that I want to write. These are the kind of characters that I want to use. The little known characters where somebody, you're not going to, I'm not going to make $1 million off the first one. Probably never make $1 million off it. But it's one of those stories that after I'm gone, or at least, let's not make it quite so dramatic. After I've retired from writing, whatever. This is one of those stories that somebody will come up to me and say, hey man, I'd really like you to sign these for me. I'm just in a convention, forgotten off on the side someplace. I'd be like, oh wow, did you like this story? Dude, this was probably one of the best stories involving this character. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I think that Tim Seeley and everybody who's involved in this should feel the same. This was definitely impressive. Wow. And a little bit enviable. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.